Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It's Friday, November 21st. The Pittsburgh Steelers have their final practice of Week 12 today at UPMC Arena Sports Complex on the South Side. If things go well, I will be joining Brendan Howe and Ed Thompson there a little bit later. More with Smitty, DB, and myself on Afternoon Drive, 6 o'clock, right here on your YouTube platform and in your audio feeds. I want to talk about something that I feel like has gotten very pervasive over the last week that I'm not sure is actually all that accurate. A lot of the narrative about Aaron Rodgers and the way he played against the Cincinnati Bengals has been that he was bad, or that he was like running into a lot of pressure, or that he was that things were bad and things were mostly his fault. And although I was critical of some things he did, and certainly there are some things that I think he should have done better, really, I mean, if you go back and look at the individual plays that were not working well for the Steelers, there's nobody open on most of them. And, the Steelers do not have great offensive weapons. They do not have a great offensive line. There's not a lot of time for him to stand there and wait for the one guy who might be getting open to get open. And then you'll be able to survey the field and see all 5 receivers at the same time. And like there was one play early on, in fact, it might have been the first play, where Kenny Gainwell's wide open coming out of the backfield. Rodgers sees it, but I think it's Spencer Anderson is getting pushed back into his face, and there's a hand in the throwing lane, and everybody else is covered. And then he ends up throwing an incompletion. I mean, the Steelers do not get a lot of separation down the field. They do not have very good receivers, and their offensive line is hit and miss. They're not bad, but they're certainly not good. Not right now. And yeah, I don't know. I just went back and from a number standpoint, Rodgers was fine. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. He had a passer rating of 105 in that game. But I think there's a question here from Orion. Says, hey fellas, if Rodgers sits out for a week or two to heal up and comes back healthy for the Ravens game, can MVP Rodgers actually learn from Rudolph by sitting? What I mean by that is Rudolph will actually sit in the pocket and go through the progressions, and the O-line responded by building him a wall and holding blocks because they knew where he was at all times. Also, the tight ends and wide receivers have been dropping passes wide open with Rodgers as of late because he's throwing laser beams, whereas Rudolph was throwing moonball type back shoulders to DK. And then I throw to Roman on the sideline. If Rodgers is able to see and make adjustments, we might have a nice push to the end of the season, hopefully carrying to the playoffs. I just think there's absolutely nothing to this at all, really. I mean, certainly Rodgers gave a good answer when he said you can always learn something, but he largely was staying in the pocket as long as he could. It's not like he was bailing from clean pockets with or largely not throwing to guys that were open, turning down. Did he turn down some checkdowns that were going nowhere? Yeah. I don't think that's something he needs to learn or should be adding to his game. The idea that the Steelers would be better off with Mason Rudolph is just wrong on a lot of levels. And I don't know how good Rodgers is going to play with a brace on his left wrist. I mean, that's an open question as to whether this is a good idea or a bad idea. But the idea that the Steelers were somehow significantly better in the second half of that game than they were in the first half of the game is just not borne out by the way that the results went. It was a lot of checkdowns, mostly yak. Rodgers can and has done everything that Rudolph did in that second half over the course of the season many, many times. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we've kind of got he certainly was very bad against the Chargers, but I feel like we've kind of the narrative has gotten out of control here about the way Aaron Rodgers was playing before his injury, and the idea that he would be learning from Mason Rudolph is pretty backwards. All right, that's all I got for this morning. More on Afternoon Drive, Miss Smitty DB. We're going to break down the Bears game, give our predictions. Make sure you don't miss that. It's one of the best episodes of the week. Until then, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.